Kuzu Zangpo and a very warm welcome to our Bhutan This Week with me, Namgye Wangchuk. This week's top stories. Office of the Attorney General submits their appeal petitions against a Har District Court's judgment on the acquittal of Foreign Minister and Project Manager in Lagang Kharpo case. The Ministry of Health introduces an additional dose of inactivated polio vaccine to the existing oral polio vaccine in the country. And suicide deaths outnumber the combined deaths due to tuberculosis, malaria and HIV in the country. Prime Minister Singh Tobgay assured the people of Trongsa that immediate investigation will be carried out to determine cause of cracks in and around the town. The cracks started appearing from the last month.
The Prime Minister and officials from the Department of Geology and Mines visited the areas from where damages were reported. While visiting the Tongsa-Bumtang Highway, where widening works are currently underway, Lenchin asked the concerned authorities to take extra care in controlling the runoff water and maintain proper drainage system to avoid landslides. During the meeting with the people of Nubi Gyok, some of the residents shared their concerns over such disasters.
I think we should let the runoff water flow as it is rather than making a horizontal drain. That is what we have actually decided. One of the reasons for recent slide above the town is bursting of water pipes. I think proper water supply has to be made.
Prime Minister said different team of engineers will be sent to investigate the cause of the slides and come up with mitigation measures. Following the rainfall last month, numerous cracks and slides were reported in Tongsa. 4 houses and 7 acres of agricultural land were also damaged. For Sujaman Thapa in Tongsa, Sonamongdi, PBS News.
Coinciding with the International Day of Cooperatives on Saturday, the Agriculture and Forest Ministry initiated a mass asparagus plantation in the capital. The plantation, graced by the Prime Minister Singh Tobgay, was carried out on a government reserve land of 3 acres near Tandinne. Members of 6 farmers' cooperatives registered in Thimphu also joined to observe the day. The day with the theme Equality was also observed by various farmers' cooperatives and groups across the country. Following the plantation, the Prime Minister also inaugurated the development of second phase of biking trail from Kunsal Phodang to Mutethang Top. On the first day, the team consisting of officials from the ministry and volunteers developed 60 meters of 4.7 kilometer trail. It is being developed by the Nature, Recreation and Ecotourism Division under Department of Forest and Park Services of the Agriculture and Forest Ministry. The Office of the Attorney General submitted their appeal petitions against Har District Court's judgment on the acquittal of Foreign Minister and Project Manager in Lagang Kharpo case on Tuesday. However, the Anti-Corruption Commission will have to prosecute the case on their own once it reaches the High Court. Attorney General Cheryl Hendrup said the conflict of interest will be best avoided if the prosecution is continued by the ACC because of the involvement of a minister. The Attorney General is a political appointee. Har District Court had acquitted the Foreign Minister Rinzin Doji on 23rd June. He was charged with abuse of functions and embezzlement of public property as the former Har Zonda. The District Court had also acquitted Project Manager for Lagang Kharpo's renovation, Wanshu Tsring. The court could not establish that he had criminal intent to embezzle funds. The OAG is also appealing against the judgment passed on project engineer Tashi Gelson for considering 100,000 yutam as security deposit for unsieved sand. Har Court has already sentenced him to 2 years, 6 months for accepting a Samsung Galaxy phone as a bribe and forgery. Bhutan's consumer inflation has reached an all-time low at 5% in May this year. The inflation has continued to decrease since October last year.
The drop in inflation was attributed to decrease in food prices in India. Bhutan's inflation is affected by that of India's since 70% of goods and services in the country are imported from India. Senior Statistical Officer from the National Statistics Bureau, Penjo Gelson, said the drop in inflation was also a result of decrease in fuel price compared to the previous year.
So if you look at the prices of the fuel on yearly basis, it has decreased. But if you look at monthly trend, over the past few months, the fuel price has been increasing. But since our main focus is on the annual inflation, and if you look at the fuel prices, the price of petrol over the last 12 months, as compared as of May, the prices of petrol has decreased by 5%.
He said when inflation decreases, it did not necessarily mean decrease in the actual price of goods and services.
Most of the people have the misconception about the inflation rate. When we say the inflation rate, it basically means the change, rate of change, the speed of the change in price. So when we say the inflation rate, of course it fluctuates. Sometimes it is very high, sometimes it is very low, but that doesn't mean that the price is dropping.
Domestic inflation also fell from 6% to 4.3% between April and May this year. The value of Neutrum decreased by 17% compared to December 2012. This means what Neutrum 100 can buy today required only 83 Neutrum during 2012. Nirup Gelson for BBS News.
The management of Penang Cement Authority Limited has accused the chairman of nepotism, abuse of authority and interference in the management. The chairman had directed the officiating CEO to keep on hold all the major decisions taken by the previous management in the last 1 month.
Several decisions, including internal task force of the employees, were also sanctioned by the former CEO who resigned in June this year. According to the management, this directive of the chairman is purely based on the internal transfer of the Deputy General Manager of Administration Department, who is related to the chairman. The Deputy General Manager was to be transferred to the Security Department. The management shared, due to persistent pressure from the chairman, the internal transfers were put on hold. The chairman said, as the chairman of the company, he only conveyed the decisions made by the board. The board had decided to put the decisions made by the former CEO on hold since the company's new CEO would be joining soon. Sonam Chodan, BBS News.
The Dzongkhag Disaster Management Committee in Trongsa is still assessing the damages caused by the rainfall on 27th June. The committee said along with the rain, the earthquake on the same day could have also contributed to the disaster.
The rainfall last week caused numerous cracks in and around Trongsa town. In an area above the town, a crack 70 meters long and 30 centimeters wide has developed. As soon as it rains, volunteers from the business community, police and Desung rush to the place in case the crack should give way. The area is also manned at night by the volunteers.
In
Trongsa, this year's rainfall has been unusual compared to other Dzongkhags. There were numerous landslides above the town. We are still guarding the town every night. The government did help us, and just in case of disaster, I hope they will provide help immediately.
Every time it rains, people are afraid. Last time they even left their homes and went to safer places. If it rains like the last time, we don't know what will happen.
The Dzongkhag parking also suffered damages worth over 12 million Neutrum. 4 families were displaced as their houses were damaged by a landslide triggered by the rainfall. Assessment by the Dzongkhag Disaster Management Committee also shows that over 7 acres of land in the Dzongkhag were affected by the flash flood and landslide. The committee is yet to compile the entire restoration cost. Following the natural disaster in the Dzongkhag, over 50 monks from Trongsa Dzong, along with the Dzongkhag administration and community, conducted a kurim at the Dzong yesterday. Surjaman Thapa, BBS News, Trongsa.
The Ministry of Health has introduced an additional dose of inactivated polio vaccine to the existing oral polio vaccine in the country. This is in line with the Global Polio Endgame Strategy 2013 to 2018. The dose will now be a part of the routine immunization program at 14 weeks after a child's birth. A press release from the ministry states that the launch of inactivated polio vaccine is considered safe whether given alone or in combination with other vaccines. Bhutan is the 5th country in Southeast Asia under the World Health Organization to introduce the vaccine. Bhutan started vaccination against polio with the launch of expanded program immunization in 1979. The WHO certified Bhutan as polio-free in March last year, along with 11 countries in Southeast Asian region. The Regional Trade and Industry Office of Samru Jongkhar cancelled 31 business licenses for alleged fronting. The cancelled licenses include some from trade sector, a few from service sector, and one expatriate license. The regional director, Karma Drukpa, said 2 more expatriate licenses are under review. He said the expatriate license was cancelled on a mutual understanding. Karma Drukpa said they came upon the decision to cancel the licenses after 4 meetings with the fronting committee members and license holders. It took them about 6 months. He said the 31 business people were given until July this year to clear their stock and for Revenue Office to collect business tax. The director said they have been keeping a close watch on fronting for the last 4 years and that they will continue to investigate such issues. Samru Jongkhar town has 650 business license holders, including those of Indian origin, who have registered licenses in their names. The Beekeepers Cooperative of Bhutan in Bumtang is expecting a bountiful harvest this year, but with the ever-increasing demand, the cooperative will be able to meet only 60% of the local market's order.
The honey production has almost doubled this year. Last year, the cooperative collected around 10 metric tons of honey. This year, they are expecting at least 18 metric tons.
This year, the production has doubled. Last year, I got around 300,000 neutrum, and this year, I am expecting around 600,000 neutrum. Beekeeping is a lucrative business and it is easy compared to other agriculture works.
Beekeepers attribute the increase to favorable weather conditions.
This year, the weather was favorable for bees to produce plenty of honey. It was good exactly during the flowering season. If the weather had not been favorable during the season, production would not have been this good.
But even with the increase in production, like in the past, this year as well, the cooperative will not be able to meet even the demands of the local market. Majority of the honey produced is sold in Bumtang and the rest in Thimphu. There are also orders already from countries like Thailand, Japan and Korea. To fulfill the demands, the cooperative is in need of more members.
We are giving training and encouraging unemployed youth to take up the business. With more members in the future, we hope to at least fulfill the in-country demand. Beekeeping is profitable business and the cost incurred initially gets recovered soon.
Currently, there are 55 members registered with the cooperative, which is an increase by about 20 members compared to last year. With an increasing demand, the Agriculture and Forest Ministry is also conducting feasibility studies to promote beekeeping in other parts of the country. For Komal Kharka in Bumtang, Sonamongti, BBS News.
Suicide deaths outnumber the combined deaths due to tuberculosis, malaria and HIV in the country. This was revealed in a report compiled by the National Task Force for Suicide Prevention formed under the directives of the Cabinet. From 2009 till 2013, a total of 361 deaths were reported, which on an average is equal to 6 suicide deaths in a month. The report states that the completed suicide rate in Bhutan is slightly lower than the global rate of 11.4 per 100,000 people. It also revealed that although the global suicide rate has seen a drop, suicide rates in Bhutan have increased, particularly in 2012 and 2013. As per the report, 58% of suicide deaths happened in low-income bracket with earning of less than 3,000 yutam per month. Economic factors, relationship problems, domestic violence and emotional abuses are the significant risk factors for suicide in Bhutan. In an effort to prevent suicide cases in the country, a comprehensive plan will be put into action from this month. The National Task Force for Suicide Prevention, formed under the directives of Cabinet, has come up with the first National Suicide Prevention Plan.
The comprehensive program will look into improving mental health literacy for high-risk groups and raise awareness through mass media. According to the study conducted by the National Task Force, suicide deaths are common among the uneducated and low-income groups.
Through this action plan, counselors, health workers and police personnel will be trained in suicide prevention and investigation methods. Counseling and peer helpers program at schools and institution levels will be improved as well. There will be standard follow-up protocols for individuals with history of self-harm and past suicide attempts and post-prevention services for suicide survivors.
One such action already in place is the counseling related to suicidal issues through the existing health helpline 112.
We have trained our health workers in health helpline centers and also some of our mental health focal persons in the district hospitals, all district hospitals, on the basic counseling, crisis management and some sort of support to the suicide prevention. And please, if you have any problem with the suicide or any mental problem like depression and all, please call to our 112 hotline, health helpline 112.
The plan also looks at involving the religious body in its advocacy efforts.
Committing suicide is a big sin as there is cause and effect. If we commit suicide now, then for about 500 lives will die committing suicide. For example, when we sow a seed, it grows into a plant and bear fruits. The seed from the fruits will give us more fruit. So just like that, once we commit suicide, then due to its cause and effect, we will live that way for about 500 years.
The plan will be implemented for 3 years until later half of 2018. With the experience of this implementation, next phase of the action plan will be launched. With cameraman Kinchu Singh, Sringda Magalson for BBS News.
7 buildings in Dampu town are in dire state with residents living in pathetic condition. The incomplete buildings were constructed as many as 20 years ago and has not seen a touch of renovation since then.
This 2-storied building, located in the heart of Dampu town, is no ordinary building. It is not only shabby as it looks, but it does not have a proper rooftop, hence allowing the monsoon rain to greet the residents living inside. Chenit Lepcha is one of the residents. It is not only challenging for Chenit to deal with the burglars and the insects that constantly creep through the wide open windows that never had glasses. But it is also difficult for Chenit and her children to live in the rooms that have rainwater dripping from every corner. And when it is not raining, it is water from the toilet that seeps through the walls into the other rooms.
We don't have door and proper windows. I cannot even leave the house unattended to go anywhere far from here as it is risky. I used tins and carton boxes to cover the windows and I made a temporary door. I fear the thieves will get into the house as we already had a bad experience in the past.
And on the ground floor of the building lives Jiwan Kumar and his family. It is damp and shady inside. Jiwon says it was used as a cowshed before he moved in a few years ago, and therefore the floors are not cemented, walls are cracked and are not plastered, and for Jiwon it becomes a nightmare when it rains.
I whitewashed the open brick walls and the conditions inside is worse. At this time of the year, when it is raining continuously, our rooms get flooded with rainwater coming directly into the house through the unsealed holes.
In another part of the town lives Sukhmaya Das, who has nothing different but even more serious issues. Just as the other buildings, the walls here are covered with mosses.
We don't have a proper drain and it is difficult to manage the kitchen waste. Since the house does not have a rooftop, water comes directly inside, flooding the rooms. We cannot even stay inside.
Meanwhile, the National Housing Development Corporation said that they have plans to roof the buildings and carry out other maintenance works in consultation with the Dzongkhag and the municipal office. The maintenance works for the 7 buildings are expected to be carried out next year. Dicky for BBS News.
The construction of a water treatment plant for Dampu completed in 2012. With the completion, it was expected to provide better treated water to the people. But 3 years on, the water treatment plant worth 13 million yutam is still lying idle.
The construction of the water treatment plant, which began in 2008, was to complete the following year. Instead, the construction was delayed as the contractor failed to complete the work on time, even after giving him time extension. Much of the works were done by the time the contractor was terminated.
After that, the construction of remaining works like physical structure and pipe networking systems were awarded to 2 contractors from 2010. According to Doji Khandu, who was then the executive engineer, after completion of construction of water treatment plant, the test couldn't be conducted because of no water.
The tenure of the next executive engineer came, but still the plant could not be commissioned due to technical problems. Because of that problem, the present executive engineer said he took over the works and responsibilities from the previous engineer except the water treatment plant.
Since the problem regarding the height differences between the filtration gallery and clear reservoir water, so due to that only the system could not be functioned till now. The contractor might not have followed the proper location, proper reference level, and might be he has not received instruction from site engineer stating that this is the exact reference level where the tank to be constructed.
For now, the safety of drinking water is not much of an issue as water is being manually treated from the old tanks regularly. But if the treatment plant is commissioned, water can be better treated and will be more than sufficient to the people of Dampu. The executive engineer said they do not know when they will be able to put to use the water treatment plant as they do not have enough resources at the moment. The municipality has raised the concern to the Ministry of Works and Human Settlement, but it has not received any proper instructions. Chetan Dupchu, BBS News.
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition. Do join us next week. Until then, this is Namgyu Wangchuk saying goodbye.